Hi everyone, we're doing another one of our programs today for My Dog and Me, which is done by Armstrong, and they do these programs. I think this is maybe number 22 or 23 that we've done. So if anybody wants to watch the other ones that are on Armstrong, you can go to Armstrong On Demand, I believe, and I think they can pick them up there. And they're also on, someone told me, I think they're on Sunday and maybe Monday mornings. But anyways, today we have First Aid for Dogs, and the person who's going to do that for us is Joan Heverly, and she's going to, she's from Mercer?
New Wilmington, officially.
Okay, New Wilmington. And Joan, thank you very much for coming, and I'll switch places with you, and you can introduce everybody that's involved.
Okay,
and we'll be set to go.
All right, like she said, I'm Joan. This is Carol McGargy. We work together with Red Cross, and we're friends, and our dogs train together, play together, sleep together, you know, with all those things that dogs do. Thank you for coming. I'm impressed. But I do have to tell you right here at the very beginning, at the end of this day, you will not be a qualified veterinarian. I am certainly not a qualified veterinarian. I worked as a veterinary technician for a number of years and have worked with dogs since I was in Girl Scouts, you know, earning my badges and up through. So the German Shepherd here is Oki. She's an 11-year-old German Shepherd. This one is Reno. He's an Australian Shepherd, and he is 6. If they bother you, just don't pay any attention to them. If you want to give them a treat, please use the treats there and not a donut. Okay. Just a few things about the building. We are going to be taking some breaks here and there now and then. There's a restroom right out here that you can use. As you can see, the exit signs are clearly marked here. There's one in the back and one in the front, one out the side. You can get out of here if you want to jump through the window. I don't think they'd care. But all righty. Now you may look at the things on your desk. And you can see that there's a packet of information at the back of which is a list of poisonous plants. The other side that's where we're going to start, but we'll start in a few minutes here. There are just some informational things about dog bite and child safety and all that. We would be severely remiss if we did not, you know, at least tell you about that kind of stuff. You'll notice a pair of rubber gloves. They are non-latex, so if you're latex sensitive, you don't have to worry about them. There is a roll of gauze, a gauze pad. There are some people treats and some dog treats. There is a slip lead. Let's see, I don't have one out here, but that's okay. But I have a little one. And slip leads to me I carry them everywhere. I have one in my purse. I have 2 or 3 in my car. I have one in this kit, that kit, everywhere, you know, all by all my doors, just because they are super wonderful things in an emergency. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is an emergency. There are several types of emergencies we'll talk about. And as Carol and I work with the Red Cross, we kind of adopt their mantra as to make a kit, get a plan, be informed. Okay, so the first thing today we're going to talk about is kits. We have our lovely Vanna White.
I'm an airline stewardess.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But we're going to talk about first aid kits. The first thing how many of you have a first aid kit in your home? Oh, very good. Shame on you. Oh, okay, all right. So everybody has a people first aid kit in your home. Okay, many of the things in a canine and a pet first aid kit are the same things that you would use in your people first aid kit. However, there are other things that we that we use. If you would like to open your books, they'll get the shrink wrap off however you can, or stick your pen in it, or something. There is a list of those things that we're going to be going over on page, I think, 18 and 19 in that book.
Give us an hour here.
Now, first aid is the immediate and temporary effective treatment for your animal when they've been hurt or when they are ill. So it is, like I say, you are not going to be qualified veterinarians at the end of this program. You don't need to look at a page, but if you want to look at a page, it's page 18 and 19. In any kind of an emergency, knowing what to do, who to call, or knowing the fact, first of all, identifying the fact that it is an emergency, knowing who to call, what to do, and having your supplies on hand. This is part of the whole preparation, you know, the old Girl Scout, Boy Scout, be prepared. Well, that's what you want to be, because in any kind of an emergency, the more quickly you can get to something to take care of it, obviously the better the outcome is going to be. All right, now in the first aid kit, there are different kinds. Excuse me, let me corral these. Reno, here. Okie, down. Down. Oh yes, on the padding, of course. Good girl. Down. Good. Thank you. Now you just wait there. All right, there's several different kinds of materials that are going to be in your kit. We have medications and solutions and that kind of things. There's antibiotic ointment. If you just want to completely unload that, and then you can. There's antibiotic ointment. We have Benadryl. We have peroxide, just the regular stuff. Petroleum jelly, rubbing alcohol, eye solution, styptic powder, that kind of stuff. Pardon me? Oh. And you can, when we have a break, you're welcome to come up and look at these a little more closely. Now, some of the other things are tools and utensils. There's a set of nail clippers, should your dog snag a nail and it needs to be cut a little shorter. Very nice, very nice. There's a set of, what? Oh, you're going, all right, very good. There's a, clippers, sorry, for a minute. The clippers need to be, there it is, it's in a plastic bag, little. Yep, clippers, there's also a pen light in there in the same bag, but yours doesn't have to be in the same bag, of course. There's a rectal thermometer, scissors, there's a syringe, there's several tweezers. There are something in particular, or to dogs or to cats or to pets in general, there's a pair of pliers that is also a set of wire cutters. Now, who can think that what we might need those for?
I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but I've taken out porcupine quills, and I know you're cringing.
No, you're brave.
Porcupine quills and actually wire that gets wrapped around.
That can happen,
really,
sure.
really tight.
Sure. And also, if you are ever around ponds or lakes or rivers or anything, fish hooks, because that's what you would cut the fish hook. You cut the barb off before you ever try to do anything with it, and then you can back it off with the pliers. And because you do have to cut the barb off before it's useful for anything. And there's miscellaneous stuff in there. There's a space blanket, clean rags, a muzzle, and a towel or a clean cloth here. Now, we're going to be talking about emergency muzzles later. However, if you have, this is an emergency muzzle. Who can identify this? Exactly, and it works very well if you need to use that. Yeah, you put the little loop in it, you put it around their little muzzle, and you can, because it's stretchy, you can get it tight enough to be secure but not hurt them and get it around behind their ears. But because I have bigger dogs, which are stronger, and when they bite, it would hurt a lot. We have an 8-pound Shih Tzu whose teeth don't meet in the front, so I don't worry too much about getting bitten by her. Shih Tzus. But this is a muzzle that fits my dogs. I would suggest that if you have multiple pets, multiple dogs, different sizes, get one for each pet. Because believe it or not, as much as your pets love you, dote on you, adore you, if they're hurting, they will bite you. You know, they can't help it. It's instinct. Reno. Get over here. Yeah. Now lie down.
I have an Aussie.
Down. Thank you. You wait right there. Good girl, Loki. Yes, that was rewarded. Ugh. Oh, well. Okay. Now, as you can see, all this, let's see, there's other stuff in here that we would not have in a people first aid kit usually. Poop bags. Who keeps poop bags in a people first aid kit? I don't know. And of course, there is this, they call it Coflex. I call it vet wrap. It's the coolest thing for people and for dogs. It only sticks to itself, And it does stick to itself, which is a wonderful thing, eliminating the need necessarily for adhesive tape, which sticks to the dog. And
One thing that, is it latex free?
I could not tell you.
Usually it comes,
Let me look.
probably comes both ways, latex free.
Yeah, contains natural rubber latex. This one does. But the other ones, like she says, I imagine they come labeled for that. There's also this is a people thing, but it's a bigger wrap, more secure wrap than you would get with just some gauze or something. It's a ace bandage for tying up a broken arm for people, but you can also tie a dog to a board if you need to secure them to it, like you have to move them. You can wrap it all the way around and secure them to the board. So that's a helpful little thing to have. Let me see what else. I also have a hot and cold pack. This is just a cold pack. You break the thing and shake it up, and then it makes it cold. It's like an ice pack, but I don't usually carry ice pack in that because it melts. Like I said, if you have any questions and you see something you don't, this is styptic stuff. It's liquid, because my powder that I have always spills, oddly enough. Wet wipes, because dogs, when they get scared, they sometimes express their anal glands, and these are very nice to clean that up should it happen. Rubber gloves, of course. There's very little chance of disease transmission between dogs and people. However, if your hands are dirty with whatever you've been doing, they can, and there's germs on them, that could transmit to the dog. If the dog has been out and about, mucking about and stuff, that you get on you, so it's always nice to have rubber gloves. And we can do this at this point. Everybody, please put on your little rubber gloves. Ooh. They're supposed to be one size fits all. Oh, look, it did. Okay. Now, in your little packet of information there, near the back, there are instructions for taking off rubber gloves. Because the gooky stuff that's on the outside of the rubber gloves, you want it on the outside. You don't want it on the inside touching you. So there is a technique. Okay. Look in your little packet there. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yes. It's near the back, I believe. The next to the last page. Oh, yep, very good. Okay, you can read that. These are really not bad. There's down. Reno. Thank you. These are not too bad. Used to be rubber gloves were so horrible that you couldn't pick up a quarter, much less a tweezer or excuse me, or a needle should you need it. These are not too bad. Okay, as you can see, the first thing obviously you hold the outside of the glove and pull it down. Okay, you don't completely discombobulate it yet. And then you do the same thing with the other one. And then you can take it all the way off. And since this is the inside, it's still clean, you can take that side off too. Okay, now your little poop bags that are in there are not necessarily just for poop. They're for any garbage that you may have accumulated by unwrapping your excuse me, your bandages. They are for your dirty gloves, such like that. So they're not just for poop. Okay? All right. Are there any questions about that?
Can you reuse them?
No. No.
You're all thinking that, and you didn't
I know
ask.
they're not very expensive. Or obviously, I would not have given you a few. Now, we did the first aid kit. Okay. All right. Now, the key to having a first aid kit is having a first aid kit. Okay. In order to be able to be used, you have to have it, and it has to be equipped. You need to check through your medications or things like that periodically. Make sure they're not expired. You follow your veterinarian's recommendation for baby Benadryl, which is, it's the children's dosage. Usually, you call your veterinarian, so they will talk to you and tell you the dosage that it would be for your dog. There's also a syringe in here because this is a whole lot easier than trying to get a dog to take it out of a teaspoon. Okay, because that just squirts down the thing. I also have a little bit afterbite here, should they get stung by a bee, that you can, it's a liquid. And there's also baking soda that you can make a paste, and just dab it on the same thing. Again, if you have any questions about what's there, check them out at our break.
Where do you get all these?
All that
Drugstore?
was at a drugstore.
With the afterbite?
Oh, yeah. These are the only thing that I had to get somewhere other than a drugstore or like a Walmart. Okay, I have a space blanket. Those don't, all drugstores don't have them. The nail clippers, that's all pretty common, either pet store or other kind of stuff. And while I'm right here, everybody should have an emergency sticker on your door. Excuse me, that tells policemen or first responders what you have in your house that you want to get out. Okay, if you have a cat that you hate, don't write in there that there's a cat. Works for me. I have one of those. But I have 4 dogs that I very, very much would like to have get out. Now, I know, that's not quite true. Almost, but not quite. And I would only say that in the presence of dog people, of course. I'm not silly. All righty. Now, as you go, again, a container just like that, it doesn't have to be this extensive, but I have 4 dogs. If one of them gets into something and gets hurt, the chances are that somebody else might get hurt too. So, and it's always, when I go on a trip or if I'm going to go be away from my house a lot, I always have that in the car. Carol, do you want to open the little one? This is my traveling first aid kit. I take that with me everywhere I go with my dog. Okay, there are also some people things in there because I'm too lazy. Go ahead, everywhere, whatever.
Nothing that I should, I can pull it all out. There's
Oh,
nothing
yes,
that's
there's,
really-
oh, no. I'm too old for that, so no, you don't need that. But as you notice, there's a slip lead in the big one. There's a slip lead in the little one. They're a little smaller than the ones that you have, but nonetheless, they all work. There's Coflex and what? The little red one. See? Everywhere.
Where can you get the little slip?
The little ones like that, you know, I have been looking and looking and looking and looking and looking because I prefer the 4-foot ones, but the ones that you have are either 5 or 6 feet. I look in, there's a site called Pet Edge, and you can get them on there. You can get them packs of 12.
Maybe dog supplies?
Sometimes.
I don't know where all you guys are from, but we have Amish that would make one of those for like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have Amish in your area that do harness work or leather work, they usually have nylon, and they would make it so inexpensively for you, and you could have it made any size you want. Just a suggestion, because if you buy it from a pet place, you're going to pay a lot more than a couple dollars.
Right.
John, where can you get that little red first aid kit? I have one, but I don't know where I got it.
I got mine at a first aid, at a Red Cross, no, not at a chapter.
You can probably get them online, I'm sure, too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think they're on
Oh,
Amazon
yeah.
now that I think about it.
Right.
I've seen them there.
Right. I'm looking at this. I don't know. This is not the cotton or nylon. It matters. I'm just gonna, because I live in New Wilmington or I work in New Wilmington, and we have an Amish tack shop there. And so this would be. I'm gonna have to ask him about that. Yeah.
They can do it. They do it so cheap, and they're very usually well made. I have an Amish guy that makes all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
For me.
Very good. Yes. So just regular stuff. I mean, there's again, Quick Stop. There's try. Neosporin. Thank you. Try Neosporin. Gonna be a long day if I can't even talk. Scissors. You know, just a little handy wipes and not handy. Yeah, clean your hand kind of things. There's also in the backpack that I always have with me. Those are, yeah, you see what those are. They're nail clippers. Those are, like I say, some things are for people, some things are for dogs. Good boy. It's always with me. So, all righty. Now, moving right along. If there is an emergency and you are called to evacuate your house, what do you take? I'm sure everyone at home has a go bag for everybody in your family, right? Well, for those of you that do, very good. For those of you that don't, please do. Yeah, for the dog, yeah. And I confess mine is better for my dog than for myself. I mean, I have a backpack, but that's about it. Because if you're called to evacuate, it will be a very short amount of time that you have to gather all your things, and you're probably going to forget something. I do. I certainly think everybody would. So now there may be a time when you're called to shelter in your home. That's easier. But it's still, you need emergency stuff to be gathered. You need identification for your pet, very important. If they're microchipped, good, good, good. Congratulations, kudos on you. If they're tattooed, that's nice too, because that's easier to see and you don't have to have a special gadget to see it, except your eyes, and mine usually work. Okay, that's very important. And it needs to be a collar on them with an identification for you. Now the collars my dogs have on right now have my phone number, and that's pretty much all I put on it. I said, or visiting locally, please call this number. And that's my cell phone, so it's with me. Or just call that number. You don't have to have your dog's name on a tag on his collar, because there is some discrepancy, some discussion about that, whether your dog's name should be on his ID tags or not. Because if his name is on the ID tag, he's more easily taken away, because he's more familiar, the person, hey, this might be a nice person, they know my name. And so away they go with them. So if there's just his contact information for you, then there's not that little bit of familiarity that they would have with him. So that's just what I keep on for my dogs. Yes, ma'am?
One of the things we had said recently, and I don't do this, but it's a wonderful idea, is to put that in your car at all times. If you have a dog that you take shopping with you, in the glove compartment of your car, you should have every ounce of information about that dog, and a picture in case there's an accident, the dog gets away, it's right there.
Right.
I carry it on my visor. I have it right here in my visor.
Do you?
Yeah, I have it on my visor, and then on the back side of the visor, I have the shop reference right there, so that I have everything, so that if I'm in a wreck, the dog or dogs are there and they're running. There's the pictures. This is what I want you to look for.
Or if you have to give it to the police, or whatever you say, and have that, and it should be in your, every one of, and I bet no one has that in their car right now, has information about your dog, and I don't do it either.
It's in my thing that comes, yeah, but.
We do because we travel so much with our
Right.
dogs.
Yes.
She made an interesting comment, if you're in a wreck and the dogs are loose and running, you know, because windows can get broken out or whatever, you might be unconscious.
Right.
I actually clip my dogs to, and I know, you know, you can't safety belt your dogs in, and those safety harnesses are like you said, those are one of those questionable things. But I have a harness on my dog, it's clipped to a leash, which is clipped to the seat belt. So if the window gets popped out and I'm unconscious and the dog jumps out the window or something, he's still attached to the car somehow. So he can't just be terrified and run.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. And there, I mean, again, there's always freak accidents where the dog gets, the window breaks, the dog gets thrown out of the window, and the car rolls over on him 6 times. You know, kind of, I'd rather have my dog running than rolled under the car 3 times. I don't know. It's just freak stuff. But you do what you can to make sure that somebody knows that your dog is with you, first of all, and loose. Carol has been after me, we travel a lot together, and has been after me to get a picture of Reno and I to put in her car while we're traveling, because they travel their crisis response dogs, and so we are liable to be with them and being out, and so it's always nice to have. The more identification you can have, the more information on the dog, and we're going to have there's a paper in your packet here that you need. You can look at that right now. Since we're on that, we can do that. It's about it's the second page. Emergency telephone numbers for pets. Okay, you can make copies of this, as many as you need. Put one in your car, one in your first aid kit, one in your emergency sheltering kit, one, don't hesitate to make multiple copies. Because it has your vaccinations, has your veterinarian's name, after hours veterinary hospital, if you know yours. If not, please look one up and find it so that you know where this information is. If you are one with magnetic things that you put on your refrigerator other than children's drawings, which I don't have anymore because mine are grandchildren and they're gone. But anyway, I did. And all those emergency contacts need to be where you know where they are. But also, if you ask someone to come into your house, if you're away from your home and they have to come in to take care of your dogs, they need to know some information about the dogs. And so that's the kind of information that they get. You can see what they want the dog's name, or dogs, plural, and a description. Reno. Busy, busy, busy. Goodness. If they have any medication, you can look at this. I don't have to read it to you. All right, now we're going to go, because there are two situations for sheltering. One is shelter in place, which we talked about, and there are things that you keep on hand for sheltering in place. It is suggested that you keep 2 weeks worth of food for your dog. Okay, my dogs go through 40 pounds a week. So I rotate the food. It's because it would, if I kept a bag down with my emergency supplies, it would necessarily get stale. So we rotate the food. Enough water. People for, your people, it says a gallon a day per person. Well, I don't think dogs, depending on their size, they don't quite need a gallon because their body mass is not as much as ours. Okay? If he's 60 pounds, okay, we'll say 3 times 60, for a person. I don't know what person is that, but anyway, then you can proportionately have that amount because they don't need it for washing, usually. Okay, Carol, if you want to dig out that stuff there. There are just a few things that, that are a comfort for your dog. Okay, that's a blanket for him to lay on. One that he knows about would be good. And again, you have one kit for each dog, because there are things they will all need. Okay, there's a towel. Should they get wet? There's Clorox for cleaning, because you're going to be inside. If you're called to shelter in place, usually it means stay in your house. So you're going to have cleanup supplies. There's water just for everything. I'll get them. Excuse me. Paper towels for cleaning up. I grabbed the roll that was almost empty. Oh. And these are zip ties. If you have a kennel, a crate, a carrier kind of a thing, then those can secure it together, especially if you have it disassembled and just in itself. Those are always good to have. This is not 3 weeks worth, but it's a sample of what you might need. If I were going somewhere, I would take all this stuff with me. There's a dish, collapsible dish, can be used for food or water. And water, but just not at the same time. So empty the water, feed the dog, and then put the water back in it. Not too tight. Those are his color pictures of him and some of Okie on the back. What? Oh, you're going to put them out. Pictures. Yes, all pictures. I'm a good grandmommy.
This is Reno?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
I just got a picture of Reno for my vehicle.
Oh. Yeah, but which side did you get?
I don't care. Just
Okay.
I got one.
Okay.
Practice what you preach.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
And there's Okie. There's a toy to make him feel happy and contented. A bone. Yeah, toss him no, not that one. This one, yeah.
No, those are my things.
No. Okay.
Too bad.
Your choice.
Now come over here. And always vaccination records, medical records, that kind of stuff. And there's an extra collar and leash, because it's always nice to have an extra collar and leash. One is a choke collar there, because dogs get a little crazy sometimes, and sometimes a flat collar and a choke collar, depending on what kind of mood they're in. If they're in a mood that's going to say, I'm going to get out of this thing regardless of what, then I'll put the choke collar on him. If he's kind of chill, then he can, I'll put the flat collar on him and he can relax. Actually, truthfully, in my house, my dogs don't wear a collar. Because I have 4 dogs together, and I have had dogs slip their bottom jaw because my dogs play rough, and they're mouthy players. I've had a dog slip his bottom jaw under the collar of another dog they're playing with, and the dog jumps in and the dogs go crazy. Fortunately, they were relatively easy to control. Nobody's jaw got broken, which is a wonderful thing. But you just have to be aware of your situation and your dogs. And that is the most important thing, excuse me, for all this preparedness stuff. Okay, are there any questions about that? If you're called to shelter, okay, you've been called to evacuate. If you have an outside dog, what do you do with it? Excuse me, is it okay just to leave him plenty of food and water, leave him tied up so he doesn't escape and go? That's right. No, you don't. If you're called to evacuate, you take your animals with you. Okay, there are getting to be more shelters that have access to kennels. Excuse me. Now, if you're in your house, you're called to shelter in place. Obviously, your pets are already with you. And that includes house dogs and other dogs too, because you want to bring your dog in. Now, if you have a house dog and you say, oh, I just can't possibly take him in the car because, oh, he's a dog. Or for whatever reason you can't put him in the car, do you just leave him in your house, give him plenty of food, fill the bathtub with water, give him a 40-pound bag of food and go? Believing, trusting that you'll be back in time for him to be rescued. Think that sounds like a good plan? Very good, very good. No, that's not a good plan. Ask the people at Katrina that went through that. Their dogs, a lot of them died because they were locked in the house. The water was bad, the food was gone, and what could they do? They were in the house. No, you take your dog with you. Now, part of the plan that's on your stuff here is to have numbers for when you're away. Where is it? Oh, I'll get like 6 of those, but okay. There's numbers that you would need if you were going to be local, and some if you are out of town, out of the city. Are there 2 different sheets there? I think one for local, one for out of town. Please, pardon me, make an effort and get those numbers filled out. Obviously, yours are going to be different from mine because my veterinarian's different. My 24-hour vet is different. My hotel that's relatively local might be different from yours. And if you know where you're going to go or if you have family that if there's a problem here, then you're going to travel to them automatically, then either, excuse me, and give them the numbers while you keep the same things too.
How do you know, if it's an emergency, how do you know where you're going? That's the thing. If you're told to evacuate.
Right, okay.
How do you know, where the emergency numbers are you're going to?
Right, I understand your question. And my response to that would be have a plan. Because this is, get a kit, make a plan. That's what we're doing is making a plan, okay? We are making a plan to go, say if there is a tornado here, I can have 2 or 3 different places. I will have, if there's a tornado in New Wilmington, I will call Carol in Greenville and say, hey, you having a tornado up there? And she says, nah, man, the weather's clear. I say, good, we're coming, Or if it's area-wide and you have family that is a couple 100 miles away maybe, say, we're on our way because there's a bad, you want to tell them anyway. But you just want to forewarn them and have preparation made for your pets.
Radio with batteries.
Yes, always in your,
Radios.
that's in your go kit. You need a radio with batteries, or one of those little crank up ones. Red Cross has a wonderful radio like that. You can crank it up, it gives you electric. Crank it up, it'll charge your cell phone. Crank it up some more, and you can, it has a light and all that kind of. It's rather a wonderful thing. And it's not a oh let's dance radio. It's a NOAA radio, an emergency radio frequencies. So that's.
Like what if this is a rural area type thing.
Sure.
And a lot of people grew up in this area, their whole family's in this area, and everybody's still in this area, so there's no family to go anywhere else in this area. So it's like, so how do you know that you're gonna go to somewhere else, because there's nowhere else to go? So you don't know where else to go.
Schools and churches.
So.
Yeah, but that would be local. I understand if you're trying to go far away.
Then there's nowhere
Pick a
else.
town, I tell you what, pick a town that you think you would be familiar in.
Right, that's what
I mean, at all, whether there's a hotel or a motel. And just, it doesn't, sometimes when you're evacuated, they will tell you what direction to evacuate to.
Right.
But sometimes they won't. They just say, get out of this place.
Right.
And so pick a place 100 miles away that you wouldn't mind going to.
Right.
Call and get some of their numbers. Find a hotel.
That's what I mean. So, because a lot of times people are.
You're right.
Everybody's in this area, your family's all in this area, so there is nowhere else, no family.
That you don't know.
Right, so you
Yeah.
don't know where to go. So,
Right.
so you're kind of like put in a position of not having anywhere else to go, like to stay with family.
Right.
So,
All the more reason to have your go kits, to have your dog's emergency food, emergency water. You pick up and if you don't know where you're going and they say go,
just
go.
go.
Pardon me.
The fire departments and your police know where shelters are.
Okay.
Now, a lot of them won't take dogs, but some will. Your schools, your churches, and we were just in Cincinnati. We listened to a woman speak with who's Stephanie Decker, who just went through an F4 and an F2 tornado. Blew her house completely up. 3 things that she mentioned was, make sure you and your kids have shoes on immediately.
Okay.
Because you've got glass and nails if you survive it. Next thing is be sure you have blankets and stuff to cover your kids up with. And be sure if you have bicycle helmets or pots and pans, put things on your head.
Okay.
Those also are very important to have. Her head, she covered herself with her body. For her 2 kids, covered them in blankets. They survived. They did not have any cuts. When F4 went through, it took everything, completely destroyed. She looked up, all there was sky, and she looked over, and here came another F2. She got pelted with softball-sized hail. Everything all over her head was injured. She had to send her boy, after it had passed, to get help. She had both of her legs amputated. She saved her kids by preparedness. Bicycle helmets, pots and pans, blankets. She had a steel beam from her house that came down and trapped her. She lost 50% of her blood. She saved her kids because of preparedness.
And she did all the right stuff. And all this happened to her. Okay, they had prepared a place in their basement. She went to the basement. They had blankets. They had things like that they needed down there. And that's why they survived. Okay, now at the first sign or a first threat of emergency, you get your animals in and secured. If you have a cat that you know is going to freak, catch it, put it in a carrier, and you're good. But have your dogs in, controlled, on leash, where you know for sure where they are, that you're not going to have to waste time chasing them. Okay, and this may sound terrible, terrible, awful coming from me. Save yourself, not your dog. If only one of you can live, or you and your kids, or whatever, you save human life, not animal life. I'm sorry to say that. I would be sorely tempted to, do something for my dog, to protect my dog, but they're dogs. And we're people. And even though they are such a part of our family, and some of us, they are like our children, okay? They're dogs, and it's always human life above animal life. That's just the way it needs to go. Okay, so if there's an emergency, and we're not talking dramatic emergencies like this, but just day-by-day emergency, if like you would call 911, should you call your local police if your animal is in an emergency? No, you don't. You don't call 911. That's, I know, but that is for if there's a threat to human life. It doesn't, you know, it's you're on your own to get your animal to the veterinary hospital. They can do what they can do when they're there, but they don't come and get it if you have a, you know, an at-home emergency. Okay, two things were brought to my attention, very good. When you're doing your emergency kit, and also if your dog is diabetic or has a condition that I guess diabetes is the only, the little dogs stress out real easy sometimes. So in your first aid kit and especially in your go kit, you're going to want to have something sweet for them, whether it's K-Road syrup, whether it's some of the honey stuff, they like that, for just to get their sugar up to get them over the hump. Now with dogs that are stressed, if they're in a stressful situation, sometimes will not eat their normal kibble. This is just, not me, Mom. So I keep a pack in my, I put it away, in my go kit for them of canned dog food. It's a foil package, so you don't have to have forgotten your can opener when you get there. Oh, okay, that's good. I don't use it that much, but it's foil and it opens. So you may need that in an emergency situation with your dog when they're stressed because they won't eat. But you definitely want them to eat. You want them to keep as much to the routine as you can. And also we were talking about the, when you leave, if it's an emergency or if it's just an emergency that you need help to transport your animal, Carol, the county emergency, please, go on.
You have up here, and I know a lot of you people know it, but in case there's somebody here that does not, Debbie Myers is with your Crawford County Animal Response Team. She's your neighbor, right? And you know, and she's a Bark Park person, and so on and so forth. So everybody knows Debbie Myers, but that's Crawford County Animal Response Team. They are called out at the same time through 911 if there's a disaster up here, and they will help take care of your pets. If you have outside ones, I mean, they come fully equipped. They have trailers, everything that holds crates and supplies. If they don't have enough, I'm from Greenville, Mercer County. We have the Mercer County Animal Response Team that does both large and small animals down there. They just got done doing an emergency situation where the snow had caused a barn to collapse and these people's 200-some cows were trapped, and our Mercer County Animal Response Team was there. You also have Venango that has County Animal Response Team. So your pets would be taken care of because you have three very good, another organization that all comes together and helps. So don't worry, get them, go, and your resources then will get brought in for you.
How are they contacted?
Ours in Mercer County go through the 911 system.
Go through 911. They contact them? I mean,
they contact the Animal Response Team. When Frank Giannetti, our Mercer County EMA guy, they are in the rotation system. And when the fire departments and everything went out, they are contacted by 911. I would imagine Crawford County is the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. They do horses that get in ponds this time of the year. Stuff like that. They're not a rescue group for ones that don't know who they are. They are not a rescue group. They are emergency response people for wrecks on the interstate when you're traveling. And it's all over the United States.
You say they're not a rescue group. But
they are not a rescue, meaning they don't rescue your pet, or if your pet is caught somewhere on a tree.
Or if there's an abused dog next door.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right, something like that. They are an emergency preparedness group.
You know, I'm sorry to take the time, but in terms of that, specifically in terms of that, in our area, in North Shenango, we have had a number of individuals that mistreat their pets, so to speak. And I know firsthand that when the proper authority is contacted, very rarely does that authority come out and follow up at all.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
That's out of your Meadville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right.
Right, because we have to call him also.
Okay.
So he's covering all these counties, and that's unfortunately who you have to go through.
And there's no other record? No?
Humane Society you have up here. Do you not have the Humane Society?
Yes.
Society? You've got them and you've got your dog warden, but that dog warden also covers us down in Mercer County.
Right, I know that too.
Yeah, so, but the animal response is like when you have your tornadoes,
Right.
major disaster, they set up a shelter, they have portable shelters that they can set up, and it's fantastic. They have trailers just loaded with equipment. So don't worry, your resources will be there when it happens. You're very fortunate.
What do you recommend for a really small portable ventilated carrier? Because I've got one that is like one of those pop-up hampers almost, and obviously that's not sturdy.
Right.
But any of the other ones are so big and bulky that he's about that size.
They have the fold-up crates that just fold down, and they're metal, and then they pop up.
Right, the wire kind of crates like that, they fold down very flat. Yeah.
I have a very small car, so it's not that portable.
That's about the most portable you're gonna get.
Okay,
Because
all right.
it folds down.
Yeah, because they collapse and fold down. The very kennels, which are like for airline crates and things like that, that's fine, because they're ventilated on all four
The
now.
one where it's like
It's an oyster shell, kind of a thing. You can disconnect it, put it inside of itself. So if you're traveling, that sometimes, even though it's big setup, when it's inside of itself, you can pack your car inside it.
Oh, yeah.
No, your car doesn't. The things in your car will pack inside the crate. Right, right.
That's a good idea.
So those, and again, the zip ties that we had, you don't have to worry about all those silly little screws and nuts and bolts and things that don't ever fit together like they should. Those just zip real quick and it's together. Or if your dog is particularly prone to escape, Okie, out of who, me? Yes, you. You can, instead of just the two little latches that latch on a bigger crate, you can secure it a little more than that with zip ties if you want to. Okay?
They might chew the zip ties, but don't forget to have your scissors to cut it smaller.
That's true, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. I do want to talk a little bit before we end this segment about recognizing an emergency. Because sometimes we think, oh my gosh, it is, and it really isn't. The best way to recognize when something is wrong is to know what is normal. Okay, you need to know your animals. Carol noticed this morning, and I did too, but I didn't say anything until it was break time. He was acting very abnormally for himself. Normally, he will settle and he will just, we're done. And he settles just kind of like that one does. This morning he did not. He was up and down and up and the instant he went out, he had to poo. I was not paying attention to that need for him. I need to pay attention to him. I know what his poo looks like. I know from all the poos in the yard, I can tell whose poo is whose. And so if one is, you need to know, are they always 99% of the time? Are they always firm? What shape are they? Do they come out in little, or do they come out, recognize what's normal for your animals. Recognize, I know it's a little harder, but recognize what their urine looks like. And this sounds so gross, but realize what it smells like. I don't want you to get down on the ground and sniff it. But when you're sometimes right near your dog when they urinate, just be aware of what smells kind of. There's dog pee. Oh, good. But then you'll know when there's something different. He's panting. Dogs can pant, and it can be a breath there can be like 200 a minute. That's not. He's a little hot. He's a little anxious, but. It's not, if he's just walking around or laying around, he's not going to be panting. So just be aware, is your dog panting? Is it hot? If it's not hot and your dog's panting and acting anxious, maybe he has to go out like this, or maybe there's something else wrong with him. There are other things that, come over here, that you can look at. And I'm going to let you come up here a little later, maybe in the break, to look at these things and demonstrate or just find out for yourself on him. Oh, good boy. How much does cooperation weigh? 300 pounds when you don't have it. There are places that you can look on your dog that indicate how they're doing. Okay, you want to see their tongue open. Good. And you want to see it nice and pink. Unless it's a black tongue, in which you want to see it nicely colored and not pale. You want to look at the mucosa inside their eyelids, you want it to be nice and red. Okay? You want to know what their normal temperature is. Carol, if you could find a thermometer, there should be one. I know there's a couple in the first aid kit. Oh, poor Reno. That and the Vaseline, if you could find it, please. How many of you have not ever taken your dog's temperature?
I haven't had to yet.
Okay, and if you never have,
You should take it when they're feeling good, so you know what's normal.
right, know what's
And
normal.
vary.
Because dogs' temperatures
101.
is 100.2 to 101.9, I think. Or maybe it's the other way, 100.9 to 101.2. That's a decent span, yes?
If you are an emergency and you have to take your dog's temperature and you don't have Vaseline or soap, spit on it. But soap works good too.
Yeah.
A little bit of soap.
Just something to lubricate it, it's not gonna hurt them. It's not gonna injure them, it may hurt, Huh? That's fine. Oh, he's fine. Mother, you're not gonna do this here in public. Good boy.
Have you no shame?
I don't, but he does. Okay, obvious, yeah. Sorry, baby. Okay. The other one, Carol, is in the thing with it's in a different bag, and it has a flexible thing.
Are all thermometers like that? Is there a special one for dogs or?
No.
Okay, just-
Temperature is
just a
temperature.
It has to be a rectum.
A rect, I was gonna say, yes, it has to, knowing where it goes, you have to have, have the right one for that. Okay, we're gonna just use this one because he's not gonna wiggle around, I hope. Okay, there's just a little bit of that. This is already clean, so I don't hesitate to put it in that. Now, dogs with a tail, it's easy. You grab the tail, lift it up. Oh, look, there's the anus. Dogs without a tail, sometimes it's not quite so easy. Can you stand, please? Good boy.
And that's might be where a muzzle might come in if you've never done it on your dog.
Yeah, if you need that, right. Okay, I lifted up the hair, and oh my goodness, look, he has one too. And so obviously you're just going to let it get to 0. Good boy. He has one too. No, he has one rectum. And it doesn't take long. I'm so glad he just went poo.
Could you imagine if I,
Look, he's like, I'm so ashamed.
Yeah.
All right, he is giving me 102. That is because he is a little stressed. He's not overly stressed, but he is a little stressed, and I recognize that. And his normal temperature is usually around 101, just 101. So right now he is a little stressed. I'm not too concerned because, sit, good, because he's still acting normally, he's still responding. He will still certainly take a treat, won't you? Thank you. His mucosal membranes are looking good. All that's looking good. Okay, the next thing, here, lie down. Good, now we're gonna roll you over. Good, easy, lie down. Good, oh, so good boy. There's places you can take your dog's pulse. Good, there, perfect, almost. Here, there, good. Now the best place, the easiest, where'd your leg go? There it is. I knew you had one. There, perfect. No, right there. The easiest place to take their pulse is on the inside of their leg, their back leg, at the femoral artery. And basically all you have to do is, you don't even have to see it. It goes up right in there right beside their femur, their leg bone. And you feel around, not hard, because if you press too hard, you won't get to feel it. It's kind of like feeling your own, but just, there we go. Yep, his heart's beating.
Is it like in the thick of the muscle or is it?
It's, good boy. Oh, with all this hair, who can tell? I am up here, up into his leg well. So there's like a dividing between the muscles here. Big muscle, little muscle. The one is in between, okay? And you can feel it. We'll get her up in a few minutes on the table, and you can feel her too. It'll be quicker, okay? There's that place is a good place. This place, which is right on their front foot, on their front leg, is just above their major pad there, but kind of between their major pad and their wrist. Okay, so it's right under here. This one is a little harder to feel. He's a hairy little beast.
I thought that would be easier to find, though.
It's really not. It's really not. Yeah, his heart's beating too. And you got a leg heart and leg heart, front leg. No, down. I don't know who's going in. You stay right here. You just rest. Okay. So write it down somewhere. Take all these readings. Notice what they are when the dog is resting. Notice what they are when he's been out playing ball, and how long it takes him to get down to a normal, to quit panting. That dog pants a whole lot longer than this dog after they've been exercising. Part of it is because he's younger and a little more fit. But part of it is just their body. And his cools down faster. Who knows why? I don't know. So just be aware of those things. Write it down. Write down his normal temperature. Write down his normal breaths. Okay, here, lie down. Let's see if we can do this again. So quit panting. And just watch the rise. He's still trying to kind of half panting. But when he's sleeping, watch the rise and fall of his chest. Okay? See, dogs without hair, it's easier. But you can see his chest moving. And that's part of his panting thing, almost panting. Good boy. And that's just, but just be aware of how they are when they're normal. And then when something comes up and you have a question, you say, well, look, I'm gonna check my dog out. I'm gonna see, is he, how is his tongue? How are his mucosal membranes? How is the capillary refill? Do you know what that is? That's if you push on your nail bed and it turns white and you release it and it gets right back to red. You can do that on yourself. Okay, you can't do it to the dog's nail bed, but you lift up their little self here and you push, gets white, and then 2 seconds, it goes back. That's capillary refill. And if it fills quickly like that, all is well, not all is well, but that's a good indicator that they're not in distress. There's a difference between stress, which is he is a little bit stressed right now, and distress, which he might be in trouble, but he's fine. He's not in trouble, unless he continues misbehaving, and then he's in big trouble, huh? Yeah, that's a different kind of trouble altogether. All righty. Thank you for your attention. Learn what's normal. Pack your kits. Be prepared now for what might happen so that the worst does not happen. Get your first aid kit. Get a little one to carry with you all the time, and a bigger one if you travel or if just to have at the house, because just like everywhere else, most of your accidents happen at home.
On the weekend,
Yeah.
or on a holiday.
Exactly. When you have to go to the 24-hour vet and they charge you $100 just to walk through the door. The way life is. Okay. Thank you for your kind attention, and we will be back another time. Thank you. Oh. All right. Stay.